Oh, hello friendly face of the internet, it's me, writer, director, and tourcade Taylor, coming to you from my childhood bedroom. Now, I'm up here in Seattle under the guise of visiting family and doing a work trip, but I'm actually here to do an expose on the differences between coach and first class. Now, my last flight, I flew first class, but this most recent one, I flew Saver Fare in seat 24E, and as a gross summation, the differences were extraordinary. So the other day, I took an Uber with my shockingly low 4.85 rating to the Hollywood Burbank Airport to fly from Burbank to Seattle. Now I'll admit I'm kind of comparing apples and oranges. One was a flight from Toronto to LA, and this is from Burbank to Seattle. Also, one was on American Airlines, and this one's on Alaska.
Thank you.
But
have a good one.
This is pretty much what I found, and I do think there's something to be learned. Plus, I figured it was important to fly in this coach seat to reconnect with a common man, you know. I think I've been flying a little too high, so to speak. Now, when I was checking in Burbank, I was presented the offer to upgrade, and as tempting as it was to spend the $50 to upgrade, I couldn't. Being broke was a pretty quick stop to that. Being broke also stopped me from going to Guy Fieri's Bar and Grill in the Hollywood Burbank Airport, which was tempting to say the least. But when I was waiting for my flight, I was kind of brought down back to earth when I looked down at my scuffed Doc Martens and compared them to the lady next to me who was wearing her Louis Vuittons. At that moment, I realized, coach it is. Now, the moment we started boarding, I realized something was going to be different. They quickly separated us, the coach flyers and the first class flyers, to the front and back. And we were forced to board from the rear end of the airplane, probably so the people in first class wouldn't have to watch us plebeians march by them. And with that said, I must say that shoving 100 people into the back of the airplane really did slow down the boarding process, and it was a little harried, to say the least. I also quickly realized that unlike first class, where there is no middle seat and legroom, coach has middle seats and no legroom, which was going to be quite the adjustment. Now, after taking my middle seat, I was also disappointed to find no pre-flight mimosa. Now, fortunately, I'm not a very large man, but my knees almost touched the seat in front of me. And though I may be smaller in stature, it begged the question, what would you exactly do if you were tall? I don't think every person can fit into these seats. This made me realize that I definitely had to adjust my expectations. No moist towelette, no warm nuts, no reclining my seat into a bed. Maybe no mimosa, no salmon, no kale, and perhaps only 1 or 2 glasses of wine instead of 3. That's where I landed. Suffice it to say, when the beverage cart did arrive, I was disappointed. You see, all they gave us was a glass of water and 2 dry biscuits, which, would make sense if the plane happened to have crashed into a mountain and we were rationing supplies, but given that was not the case, I was a little shocked at the lack of accommodation. Where was the full-service 3-course meal I had before? The appetizer, the cheese plate, the nuts, the salmon, the kale, the bread, the chocolate cheesecake, and the unlimited wine. It was truly disappointing. Fortunately, both flights did offer great views. Unfortunately, for me to see my view, I had to lean over my aisle mate who was in the window seat, making both her and I uncomfortable. Now, having to lean over her brings us to the topic of shared spaces, which brings us to the topic of bathrooms, and I didn't film anything in the bathrooms because I didn't want anybody to get the wrong idea, but it does seem unethical to have 200 people or so share 2 bathrooms, and then maybe 40 people total share 2 bathrooms in front of the plane. At this point, our comparison chart is this. We have coach, which offers water and dry biscuits, and we have first class, which offers food, drinks, legrooms, service, bathrooms, space, towelettes, mimosa, cheesecake, and wine. The only shared thing, actually, between coach and first class would be a Venn diagram that looks like this. Here we have coach, and here we have first class, and in their intersection, we have a uniting factor that is the fear of death. No matter where you sit on an airplane, you can't really escape that. at this point, really the only thing left to discuss between these two experiences is the feeling after the flight and getting off the plane and the feeling after that. Which would be in first class, me being drunk and relaxed, versus coach, which would be me being sober and stressed. Additionally, one of them, you are one of the first people off the plane and, courteously greeted by the flight attendants, and the other one, you have to push your way past pretty much every single other person on the plane to get off of it. So, I guess in short, that's the difference between coach and first class, between a $79 ticket and a $4,000 ticket, and a great illustration of why, in America, it would be great to be a wealthy person.